Hello?
Yes, Helen, or President, it is personnel. I don't know if anybody's on the line, though.
Donna Briscoe is on the line from personnel.
All righty, Donna. What page are you on? Do you know?
83.
83, yep.
Okay, so could you start by giving us some of the highlights for your budget?
Madam President and counselors, I just wanted to kind of review some of the things that we've accomplished in our last year. We've been through a few benefit transitions. We added a professional development specialist, increased our training, we centralized our hiring and vacancy process, and we've added 2 personnel specialists to replace 1 personnel analyst. Our goals for this year is to continue or to begin the process of rebranding to human resources and continue centralization. We want to focus on risk management and begin the implementation of a citywide human capital management and timekeeping systems in collaboration with IT, API, finance, and the administration. I'm going to say that we have a modest budget, but our need is great to accomplish what we would like to do. And we can go over some of the things on our budget.
Yep. That's what go ahead.
Okay, so this year we have our labor relations. We will have contracts that we will be negotiating. We have 8 contracts. We have had several grievances this year and will continue with those. I think that we've recently seen a decrease in our grievances. We've been able to work with our union leaders and resolve issues. We have had fewer arbitrations, and the personnel services that we provide, we're continuing to provide.
So, Donna, before you move, let me ask you on this one, affirmative action reports. So there's, what is it, annually that they have to be done? Okay.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. We are doing residency compliance letters. That is something we are going to look at our process and make sure that we are following through on the letters that we send out. And I know that requests for waivers, there have been a couple, and we're working with the clerk's office to make sure that we follow that process. Our diversity and awareness trainings, we will continue doing those. The sexual harassment training, there was new laws, and everyone has been trained on sexual harassment. So that was a big undertaking, but we did that by October, and we will be doing that again this year. We're looking at doing some online trainings to make it a little easier than doing all the in-person trainings, but the online trainings need to be interactive. We do have some, with our professional development specialists, we did have some training libraries that we bought, and we will be using for implementing those sexual harassment trainings. We still have our civil service, the amount of civil service forms, our unemployment. One thing that's new is the unemployment insurance hearings have moved to law, but obviously we work very closely with them in providing them the documentation needed for unemployment claims. Our benefit consultations, we still have those all the time. We moved most of our health benefits to Excelis. Fire is still with UMR, but we are looking at I actually talked to the union president last week, and we will be setting up meetings to start that process. with them. Our risk management, you might notice that we are going to focus on risk management, and we have kind of, we are asking for a risk manager position. We actually took a position and are creating that because we want to have more oversight and management of our risk overall. We do contract with PMA for our workers' comp, and we are working with them on setting up accident review for all of our committees, for all of our departments, so that we're having a little bit better oversight of what is causing our accidents and going through you know, the process to see if there are things we can do for prevention. And our employee assistance program, we have seen an increase in the amount of participants. I do think that that is a good thing, and we've been having more supervisory referrals to address things before they become a disciplinary issue. So. We get to page 85, and it has our positions on there. As I stated, we're adding a risk manager position, but that position is, we gave up a different position for that one. I don't know if you want me to go through line by line on that.
Well, yeah, because I'm looking at it, because you said you gave up a position on it, but I'm looking at your budget, and it looks like, are these just positions that's just been reevaluated somewhere else? Because I'm looking at your 1920, and you have 2 under personnel analysis 1, but then it's going to be 0. So did you just switch out some of those positions?
So we actually are absorbing a position that's in another department, and yeah, we did do some switching, but you know, it doesn't really reflect in our numbers because we are kind of centralizing and bringing in. We eliminated a position that's in another department, part of our centralization.
Oh. Okay. All right. Well, could you go through the line?
So,
wait, Madam President, what department is that you eliminate the position? Just to follow what the President said.
So that's a position out in DPW.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
So we have our Director of Labor Management Services. We have the Assistant Director of Labor Management Services. We have the Risk Manager. We have a Safety Officer. We have an Employee Relations Manager, a Personnel Analyst 2.
Okay, so the Employee Relation is one that you're adding, right?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Personnel Analyst 2. We have the Employee Insurance Representative.
That you're adding.
Not adding that one. That has been in our office.
Okay, because it says 0, but it's, okay. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that.
Hey, it's Margaret here. The grade changed on that. That's why it looks like it's a 0. Because it was a different grade last year.
Okay.
Thank you, Margaret.
Mm-hmm.
John, I have just a real quick question. The top 2, so the Director of Labor Management, the Assistant Director, I probably just don't know what their title is, but who are those people? What are their names?
So actually, I am the Assistant Director.
Okay.
And the Director is not filled right now.
Okay.
Ms. Briscoe,
Yes.
could you just mention, which one of all these positions, how many of them are civil service?
So all of them but the director position. I mean, the director position is an appointed position, and the rest of them are civil service.
Also, they're all civil service titles, good.
They are, yeah.
Okay, Donna, we're gonna let you get through it because we know we're out of time limit.
Okay. So we have our multicultural affairs diversity specialist. We have, I think I already covered that. Oh, no, an employee insurance representative, which is listed twice.
Yeah, but it zeroes out for 21.
Got it. That's okay. I got it. That's the grade change. Okay. Then we have a personnel analyst. We have our administrative assistant. We have 2 personnel specialists.
That you just added, right?
We added them last year, correct? We added them in the middle of the year. So they've been here. They've been with us since June. So this personnel analyst was eliminated. That's and then we have the assistant employee insurance rep. We have a clerk 2, and we have an information aide. I do want to point out that we have some positions on here, but we have the funding. I know for our assistant employee insurance rep, the funding, we have unfunded it for right now.
Any questions from my colleagues?
I have a couple, Donna.
Sure.
Regarding residency.
Yes.
It's sort of in your bailiwick, but, you know, I've been around a long time, and it's sort of like a very difficult thing for your department to monitor. You said you were following up. How would you follow up on residency?
So what we do, and I know that some of the history is that we had people that were at one time in the police department that would do and follow people. I know that at one point we had people in our office that did that. We don't have someone to actually kind of monitor and watch people's homes to see where they're leaving and do that kind of investigative work. But we are, right now what we do, our process is if we receive a complaint, we follow up with that, we follow up with a letter. We ask them, certainly for people that are in the union, we ask them if they will voluntarily provide us documentation. The history on that is that there was a grievance that was filed, and the arbitrator, when they decided that, they said that we couldn't force someone to comply and provide us with the documentation, but we do ask them to voluntarily give us that documentation.
This is no way a criticism of your department at all. I know how. Is each department still has like a monitor where somebody signs where they live, and this
Correct.
person this poor department monitor has to attest to it as if they would know.
So yes, and that's
and then
part
it's
of the
sent to
problem.
you, and you got it, sort of like lateral to the personnel department.
Right. We have asked for all employees to fill out a certification. And yes, we have a residency monitor that is assigned for each department, and then they will report to us any discrepancies, and then we would identify those people, identify the employee, send out a letter, and then we do some of our due diligence by looking to see if we can look at tax records, voter registration, things like that, and see if we can verify where they're living.
Claiming the star has always tripped a few people up, but I don't mean to trip. I just commiserate that the personnel department, in essence, there's not a real investigative arm to find out where people live. I mean, you don't have it, and, you know, you just do what you can do.
We do, and we have been working and talking with the administration on how we can improve that and if there are ways that we can improve that. You know, I think in one of our grievances in the past, we can prove if they're lying, but we don't know if they're lying to us or lying to, if they've registered to vote somewhere else outside of the city, we don't know who they're lying to. And that was pretty much what the arbitrator in their decision said. So it's a little difficult without concrete evidence to show that someone left their home in Cicero, you know, 5 days this week and returned to that home. And, you know, we do not have the bandwidth for that, to be following people around like that. So, but we are looking at ways and avenues that we can maybe do a little better job monitoring.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam President, can I weigh in on this?
Yes.
So, Donna, I believe that during the presentation from Corporation Counsel, Kristen Smith mentioned that there is going to be a person hired out of her department, out of the law department, who's going to work. I think they're wearing 3 hats, if I recall.
Yeah. We always do more with less, right? So.
Right. That's why we're so good. But I believe that to the follow-up to Councilor Hogan's question, and this has been the bane of existence for a long time. For those of us who are old like Councilor Hogan, who remember this stuff. That person is going to work strictly out of the Corporation Counsel office in concert with your department. How is that going to work?
So yes, I mean, we would work closely with them. Obviously, we work closely with law on a lot of issues. But yes, we're hoping that position does get approved and that we will be able to work with them. And for things like our residency issues, we'll be able to work with them on those as well and have that resource for an investigator.
That's the way I thought I understood it when Corporation Counsel Smith mentioned it, but so, okay, thank you.
I think, you know, Councilor Maroon, Councilor Maroon, City Auditor Maroon and President Hudson, I think the situation has always been is that we, you know, we have a policy, but we don't give anybody the tools to either follow up or investigate what's needed for the policy or enforce them.
And
it's like
Councilor
sending a batter up without a baseball bat, basically.
And I hear you, and I think that's something that we need to really address, because if we're going to have residency, we really need to monitor the residency.
Either we have the policy and enforce it, or we don't have the policy, is my opinion. So.
And we have something like maybe 14 minutes, I think, for Donna. So Donna, we're going to let you move us through, and I think that's something we need to come back to and talk about as well.
Thanks, President. Thanks, Donna.
Sure.
Thank you.
So we do have, I didn't mention, we do have a clerk one that is, she works 3 days a week, part-time, 4 hours a day, up to 4 hours. And she helps with our filing and things like that. So we have our salaries, our salary line, our temporary services, that's our clerk one. There's myself and another person that has a car allowance. And we have our office supplies. We have our equipment with office supplies, operating supplies and expenses, equipment repair and supplies, professional services, which I will touch base on, and then our travel, training, and development budget, which again I think is pretty modest. Professional services.
One question, Donna, before
Sure.
you start professional services. I want to go back to the salaries because they look like they bumped up like 300,000. Is that because of the 2%?
So we added personnel specialist.
So those were the positions.
So yes, some of the positions. And Margaret, are you still on? I don't see Margaret on here.
She's on.
He's on there.
Okay.
She's just got no audio.
So like I said, one of the positions was moved from another department, so that increased the salary. We have the personnel specialist, and Margaret, am I leaving something off here?
We've had a vacancy all year we haven't been able to fill. It's in our budget, but was never spent this past year.
Okay. So that's why the projected was so low.
And I'm going to let you get to the professional services because, yeah, we need to get there. But before we get there, I want to go through the travel, training, and development because that actually went up considerably as well.
So yes, that went up. We have been using so we've purchased a training library, and we want to be able to use that and implement more online trainings. So that's one of the reasons that's up a little bit. And we have a professional development specialist who we need to have some resources for her to utilize in increasing our training. I do believe that adding the trainings that we are adding and looking at doing overall will help with preventing some of the harassment and discrimination claims and other expenses that we ended up paying for in the long run.
Donna, is it, sorry to interrupt, but is it fair to say that it's not a cost, it's not an increase because your budget, I mean, you just underspent compared to what your budget was. And then so it looks like it goes up compared to what you're projecting for the previous year, but the budgeted
we didn't spend as much
actually has gone down.
You're right.
Same with the salary lines, like you underspent a lot, so the proposal to the actual, it looks like a big increase, but it's actually a decrease from what you were budgeted the year before.
Budgeted, right.
I just feel like I need to defend you on that front because it makes it sound like you're getting all these increases.
That's why you're a finance counselor, Rod.
Yes. We actually did, for what we have done in the positions we've moved around and the hirings that we've done, what we're asking for, I think, is pretty modest. And, would we like more? Yes, but we also we also know we're in a very poor economic state right now.
Donna, you have 7 minutes.
Okay. Let me get to professional services. One of the things that we had to utilize is we have Bianca that does our investigations. We had a lot of investigations, and some of those investigations it was just too much for our office to take on, and we had to outsource that. And what we did is we used, through our law department, we used services and used one of our legal teams that law contracts with. It's Bond, Shenick & King, and they had done 4 of our investigations when we outsourced them, and those 4 cost us about $40,000. So what we would like to do is try and get a professional services contract with someone that specializes in human resources and can cover investigations. We're looking at doing a compensation study, and we also want to be able to have other, just have a resource that is not necessarily a law firm. It would be much cheaper for us in the long run to utilize a professional services contract with an HR firm.
Madam President, may I ask a question again?
Sure.
Donna, can you please tell me in terms of the professional services, if you hire outside legal, do you use also outside counsel when you're going forward with these 8 contracts with unions? Do you use professional arbitrators or professional lawyers that are skilled in labor law?
So what we have done when we did the negotiations is we have a labor attorney and we have a corporation counsel, so we rely on them. We do not, we don't necessarily contract, we don't add to that. We have had, legal has a contract with other law firms, and so if it's necessary to reach out to the law firm, that's what we would do through legal. But okay.
All right, counselors. Donna, we're clocking down on you. Any of my other counselors, do you have any more questions for Donna? No? Good job, Donna. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you. Have a good evening.
You as well.
Okay.
All right,
School district on a
counselors.
different link?
I think it's on the same one because it's popping up on our.
Okay.
You don't see the presentation?
Okay. Yeah, it is. You're right.
Okay, so I'm just going to mute myself, and then Counselor Paniago will take over this one.